Hey guys, I'm T and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, we make trendy and fun crochet tutorials twice a week. And if you haven't already, smash that like button, drop a comment down below, and subscribe to join in on the fun. For today's tutorial, we're taking in the holiday spirit and making some comfy holiday shorts. Not too much to say for these cozy shorts, except they're cute, holiday themed, but the design also works for other colors, and they're perfect for gifting, especially because they're a super quick make. Speaking of, if you're looking for more last-minute gift ideas, you are in the right place. We have hundreds of modern crochet tutorials and patterns that'll make great gifts with even more dropping twice weekly, so consider clicking the bell to subscribe and you'll never miss an upload. Also, do me a huge favor and give this video a big thumbs up if you like it, or 2 thumbs down if you don't. Either way, it's a great way to show support so I can keep putting out free tutorials every Wednesday and Sunday. Now, it's time to get on the show, so without further ado, for this project, any category 4 yarn will work, but I used a total of 225 grams of yarn, and that's 430 yards if you're stateside, and the individual measurements will be on the screen. As for tools, a 5.5mm hook, scissors, stitch markers, and a tape measure. There is a written pattern down below. Use offer code TCD DIY for a discount off any $9.99 plus order, and enter this week's pattern giveaway by telling us if at any point in your life you were able to do the splits. I used to be able to once upon a time, but not anymore, but I would like to be that flexible again, so maybe soon. Details for the giveaway down below. We are using 4 stitches for this project, and they'll be as follows. Chain, slip stitch, single crochet, half double crochet, and double crochet. This tutorial is made for a size small, but you can adjust it for your size, and we explain how to in the video, so let's get started. Getting these shorts started, we're all going to grab our secondary color yarn and make a slip knot. Next, we're all going to grab our 5.5mm hook and start off by making a chain the height that we'd like for our waistband to be. Now I'd like for mine to be just about 2 inches or 5 centimeters, so I'm going to start by making a chain 10. Now that we have our chain, we're going to do a slip stitch row. So start by blocking off that last chain and do a chain 1. That chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch, that's our turning chain. Then into that chain that we blocked off, or the second chain from our hook, we're all going to insert with a slip stitch, so yarn over, and gently pull through everything on our hook. Let's do that again. Into that next chain, insert, yarn over, gently pull through everything, and once more into that next chain, insert, yarn over, and gently pull through everything. Continue with 1 slip stitch into every chain, remembering not to tug too tightly after every stitch, otherwise the following rows can be a little too tight to work into. Now that our row 1 is complete, the rest of our rows are going to be back loop slip stitches. So to get that started, chain 1 and flip your work. We're all going to start by finding that first stitch from our previous row and insert into that back loop or the loop that's furthest away from us. Then yarn over and pull through everything on our hook, still remembering to pull gently. Again, into that next stitch, insert into that back loop, yarn over, pull through everything, and once more into that next stitch, into that back loop, pull through everything, and that's it. We're going to continue doing this until we don't have any more stitches left to work into. At the end of the row, we're going to chain 1, flip our work, and then put 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch again. From here, all we're going to do is continue to repeat this back loop slip stitch row with no increases and no decreases until this can stretch, because it does have a decent amount of stretch to it, around the widest part of our hips. Now we must end after an even number of rows that is in multiples of 3, and then I will meet you guys back. Alright, so we are back. I have a total of 108 rows. My width currently is roughly 20 inches or 52 centimeters that is unstretched. Now once we have our length for every single size, we are going to do an additional 4 rows. So since I had 108, after my 1, 2, 3, 4 rows, I now have a total of 112 rows for my waistband. And once we have done our additional 4 rows, we can now seam everything together. So now to seam up our waistband, we're going to be doing an outside loop slip stitch seam. So start by inserting your hook into the corner stitch of both the front and the back panel. Then we're going to pull through and do a chain up of 1 to secure. Then from here, all we're going to do is start by finding that first stitch into the front panel and insert only in through that front loop. Find that next stitch into the back panel, insert only into that back loop, then yarn over, pull through everything on our hook. Again, into that next stitch into the front panel, insert only into that front loop. Next stitch into the back panel, insert only into that back loop, then pull through everything. We're going to continue doing this until we don't have any more stitches left to work into. When we don't, I will meet you back. We're back. We have just finished up seaming our waistband, and now we're going to single crochet across the bottom. So right after we have finished up with our seam, we're going to do a chain 1. Then all we're going to do is put 1 single crochet into every side row. So start by finding our first side row. This is mine right here. I'm going to find that top loop, insert my hook. Then if you're like me, you don't really want to weave in your tail ends later, place that tail end over your hook, and then we're just going to single crochet around everything. Let's do that again. Into that next side row, which is this divot for me, I'm going to find that top loop, insert with a single. This is my next side row, which is this raised row. I'm going to find that top loop and single crochet. And that's it. All we're going to do is continue with 1 single crochet into every side row, making our way all the way around. Now we should all end up with the same amount of rows that we made, and then I will meet you back right after we slip stitch into that chain space. And once when the single crochet row is complete, we are all going to want to try on our piece. Now the single crochet row is going to be as wide as this portion can stretch. So if it's a little bit too tight, we'd use some stitches with a looser grip, or if it's too loose, we'd use some stitches with a tighter grip. And then do a chain up of 1 and cut. So we are back. Our single crochet row is completed. Now we're just going to need to insert some stitch markers to separate both of our pant legs, and then we can get started. So first things first, we're all going to start by inserting our stitch markers into the stitches that we have that's nearest to our tail end on either side. Then we're just going to insert our second stitch markers into the 2 middle stitches. Now we should all have 2 middle stitches because we all should have ended on an even number of slip stitch rows, therefore ending on an even number of single crochets. Now for those of you that have my numbers, from my first stitch marker nearest to my tail end, I inserted my stitch marker into the 56th stitch, and then I did the same thing on the other side. We should all have the same amount of stitches on both sides, and then we can get started. So once when our stitch markers are into place, we're all going to start by inserting our hook into our stitch marker stitch that's nearest to our tail end. It doesn't quite matter which one. And then we're going to grab our primary color yarn, which is the color that we want the main portion of the shorts to be. Then we're going to do another single crochet row. We're just going to be putting 1 single crochet into every stitch, making our way all the way around, making sure that we're inserting our stitch markers back into the same stitches. And then I'll meet you guys back right after we slip stitch into that chain space. We are back. Our single crochet row with our primary color is complete. We did make sure that we insert our stitch markers into the same stitches, and now we're going to make a chain that is in multiples of 3, the length that we'd like for our shorts to be. Now I'd like for mine to be just about 9 inches or 23 centimeters, making sure that I'm placing my waistband right where I want this to be when it's worn, so high-waisted or low-rise, that's up to you. And so I'm going to make a chain of 33. Now once we have our chain, we're all going to do a half double crochet row. So block off that last chain and do a chain 2. That chain 2 does not count as a stitch, that's our turning chain. And then we're going to yarn over, preparing for a half double crochet. Into that chain that we blocked off, or the third chain from our hook, we're all going to insert with a half double crochet. So bring your hook down and into that chain, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 3. That's our first half double crochet. Let's do one more. Yarn over, into that next chain, pull through 3. From here, continue with 1 half double crochet into every chain. So we are back. We've put 1 half double crochet into every chain. Now from here, we're going to slip stitch it into the base. Now just to connect this first row, what we're going to do is slip stitch into that next available stitch. So this is our stitch marker stitch. Into that following one, just insert with a slip stitch. So insert, yarn over, pull through everything on our hook. And now our row 1 is connected. Then to work our way up to the following row, we're going to slip stitch into that next available stitch into the base. Remember, none of those slip stitches into the base actually count as a stitch, and we're going to flip our work. Then from here, all we're going to do is our Suzette stitch. So that's going to be fairly simple. All that's going to be is a single crochet and a double crochet into the same stitch. So finding the first stitch from our previous row, making sure it's not into any of those slip stitches into the base, we're going to start with a single crochet. So insert with one single, then into that same stitch with a double crochet. So pull through two, pull through two. Now that is one Suzette stitch set. When we have one of these sets completed, we're going to do another one. So we're always going to skip that following stitch because that double crochet counts as that stitch. So into the following, another single and double. So insert with one single into that same stitch with a double crochet. Again, skip a stitch into that next with a single and a double. And that's it. We're going to continue doing this until we all have 2 stitches left. So we are back. We have done our Suzette stitches all the way down until we all have 2 stitches left. Now all we're going to do to close off this row is going to be 1 half double crochet. So all we're going to do is yarn over. Skip that second to last stitch and then into that last insert with 1 half double crochet, and now our row 2 is complete. Now it's going to be a repeat of our 2 previous rows. So just to get it started, we're going to start with a chain 2 and flip our work. We are now going to be putting 1 half double crochet into every stitch, and I'll meet you back at the base to connect it because it's going to be done just a little bit differently than our previous row. Alright, so we are back. We now have our first 3 rows completed. Now we're going to connect our half double crochet row into the base. So how we're going to connect this half double crochet row and the rest of our half double crochet rows for this section is we're all going to start by counting up the next 2 available stitches. So there's 1 and then there's 2. Into that second stitch into the base, we're going to insert with a slip stitch. And now this row is complete. Then our following row is going to be another Suzette stitch row. So slip stitch into that next stitch into the base. None of those slip stitches count as a stitch, and flip our work. And from here it's going to be a repeat, so let's just do the first few sets together. Start by finding that first stitch from our previous row, which is not any of those slip stitches into the base. We're going to insert with a single crochet and also with a double crochet. Skip a stitch into the next stitch with a single and a double, and continue on with this until we all have 2 stitches left. We've made our way down with our row 4. We should all have 2 stitches left, and just like our previous Suzette stitch row, we're all going to close off the row with a half double crochet. So yarn over into that last stitch with 1 half double crochet, and that's it. From here, all we're going to do is continue to repeat our 2 previous rows until our following stitch marker stitch is reached. Once we do a chain up of 1 and cut, and then I will meet you guys back. Alrighty, so we are back. 1 half of my shorts are all finished. Now we're going to basically repeat everything we just did here on the other side. I did do a chain up of 1 and cut right after my last row. So now all we're going to do is just insert our hook into that following stitch and then basically just repeat everything we did here on this side. Once we have both of our pant legs completed, I will meet you guys back. Alrighty, we are back. Both of our pant legs are complete. Now from here, we're going to work on the inner thigh connector to connect the front to the back of each pant leg, and I already have one of mine done, so let's do the next one together. So what we're going to want to do is try on our piece, making sure that our waistband is going to be where we want it to sit once when it's on, so high-waisted or low-rise. And then from the bottom, we're going to be inserting our stitch markers into any stitch from the bottom. It must be in an odd number, right where we want it to start to connect. So I have inserted my stitch marker into the 13th stitch from the bottom. That's roughly 3.5 inches or 9 centimeters. And now we're going to do more of our Suzette and half double crochet rows to connect the front to the back. So we're all going to start by making sure the work is flipped right side out, right side up, and then we're going to be inserting our hook into our stitch marker stitch. So once when our hook is into our stitch marker stitch, we're going to insert our yarn onto our hook, pull through and do a chain up of 1 to secure. And we're all going to start with our Suzette stitch row, starting with our first set into that same stitch that our stitch marker's in. So into that stitch, we're going to insert starting with a single and a double, so our Suzette stitch sets are the same. And per usual, skip a stitch into the next, a single and a double, and continue this until we have 2 stitches left. We've made our way down with our Suzette stitches. We should all have 1, 2 stitches left. And we're going to close this off the same way that we closed off the main portion of our shorts. So just half double crochet into that last stitch to keep the bottom blunt. Then from here is going to be our half double crochet row. So chain 2, flip our work, and then put 1 half double crochet into every stitch. Since we're not doing any increases or decreases, we should all still have the same amount of stitches as our previous row. And we're just going to continue to repeat our 2 previous rows until we have an inner thigh connector that can reach from the front of our pant leg in between our legs over to the back of our pant leg. And then I'll meet you guys back right after a Suzette stitch row or along the bottom so we can seam it all up together. Alrighty, so we are back. My inner thigh connecting portion of my shorts is complete. I have a total of 13 rows. This length is roughly 6 inches or 15 centimeters. Now we're going to seam it to the other side of our pant leg. So first things first, we're going to flip our work wrong side out. Once when our work is flipped, we're now going to be inserting our hook into the corner stitch of our pant leg and into the bottom corner stitch of our connector that we were just working into. And we're going to do a single crochet seam. So what we're going to do is pull through and do a chain up of 1 to secure. And now we're just going to single crochet in through both the front and back panel. So just to do the first view, find that first stitch into the front panel, first stitch into the back panel, and then we're going to single crochet around everything. Let's do this again. First stitch into the front panel, first stitch into the back panel, and single crochet. And that's it. We're going to continue doing this until we don't have any more stitches left to work into. When we don't, do a chain up of 1 and cut, and then repeat everything we did here on the other side. Alright, so we are back. Our inner thigh connectors for both of our pant legs are finished up and seamed. Now we're going to seam the entirety of our shorts together. So first things first, we're going to make sure that our work is still flipped wrong side out, meaning the seam that we have for the inner thigh connector is along the outside because we want all of our seams to be on the same side. And then we're going to be inserting our hook into the stitches that we have into the waistband that both of our pant legs are coming out of. If you still have your stitch markers in, then it's going to be into those 2 stitches. Then we're going to do our seam. So using our primary color, we're going to insert our yarn onto our hook, pull through, and start with a chain up of 1. If you guys are like me and have a bunch of tail ends right here, we are going to weave them in as we go. So just gather all of them. And then we're going to single crochet around everything. So start with a chain 1. That's just to connect. Then we're going to start by finding that first stitch into the front panel, insert, find that next stitch into the back panel, insert your hook in through there. Then place your tail ends, all of them, over your hook, and then we're going to single crochet around everything. So yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. That's basically it, the same way that we seam the thigh portion. So let's do this again. Into that next stitch into the front panel, next stitch into the back, and single crochet around everything, including our tail ends. And we're just going to continue doing this, making our way down until we reach our inner thigh connector, and then I'll meet you back so we can work into that together as well. Alright, so we have made our way down our pant leg with our seam, and it's kind of hard to see, but we are now at the inner thigh connector. So I folded my work in half, so you guys can see this is one inner thigh connector, this is the other one, and now we're going to continue to seam these 2 pieces together, but now we have some side rows to work into. So we're just going to continue on like I said, but working into each of these side rows, we are going to be alternating between 1 to 2 single crochets into every side row. So to do this together, let's all start by finding our first side row. So this is mine right here. I'm going to find that top loop, insert my hook. Then I'm going to find my first side row within my back panel, but we do want to make sure that they are being pursed together. And this is my first side row right here. Find that top loop and single crochet everything together. Now let's find our next one. So this is my next side row. it's a half double crochet for everyone if that helps you find it. I'm going to find that top loop, insert my hook, find the same top loop within the back panel, insert my hook in through there with 1. And like I said, we are going to alternate between 1 to 2 single crochets. So into that same top loop within the front and the back panel, I'm going to insert my hook again. It should be a little bit easier since everything should be gathered, and do a second single crochet. And that's it. Let's do this again. Finding our next side row within the front panel, inserting through that top loop. Next side row within the back panel, insert with just 1 single crochet. And then into that next side row is going to be 2 single crochets. So find that top loop, insert, top loop within the back panel, insert with 1, and then into the same top loops with a second. And that's it. We're going to continue doing this until we don't have any more side rows left to work into. When we don't, then we're going to work our way back up, putting 1 single crochet into every stitch, working in through both the front and the back panel, pretty much the same way that we started off this seam. Then once we made our way all the way up to our waistband, slip stitch into the 2 stitches into the waistband that both of the pant legs are coming out of. Then I'll meet you guys back. Alright, so we are back. We have just finished up seaming the entirety of our shorts. Now we're going to finish this up with our bottom border. As you guys can see, I have already finished mine up. So all we're going to do is start with a single crochet row. So let's all make sure that our work is flipped right side out, right side up, meaning the seam that we just did is along the inside. Then we're going to insert our hook into any one of the side rows that we have along one of our pant legs. Then starting with our primary color yarn, we're going to insert that onto our hook, pull through, do a chain up of 1 to secure. Then all we're going to do is alternate between 1 to 2 single crochets into every side row. So getting this started, we're all going to start by finding our first side row, and this is mine right here. Going to find that top loop and insert with just 1 single crochet. Now this is my following side row. I'm going to find that top loop and insert with 2 singles. So there is 1. Into that same side row, there's 2. Again, this is my next side row. I'm going to find that top loop and insert with just 1 single. And this is my next side row, so I'm going to find that top loop and insert with 2 singles. And that's it. We're going to continue doing this, making our way all the way around. When we don't have any more side rows left to work into, slip stitch into that chain space, and then do a chain up of 1 and cut. So we are back. Our single crochet row with our primary color is complete. Now we're going to grab our third color, which is whatever color that we would like for our bottom band to be. And we're going to do another single crochet row. So making sure that our work is still flipped right side out, right side up, inserting your hook into any one of the stitches that we have along the bottom of our piece. We're just going to do 1 single crochet into every stitch, making our way all the way around, and then I'll meet you back. So we've made our way all the way around with our single crochet row. Our following row is going to be a half double crochet row. So right after we've slip stitched into that chain space, let's all chain 2. So what we're all going to do is yarn over and insert your hook into that first stitch with a half double crochet, and that's it. Continue with 1 half double crochet into every stitch, making our way all the way around, and then I'll meet you back. We are back. I've made my way all the way around with my half double crochet row. Now we're going to connect it. So all we're going to do is slip stitch it into that second chain that we made when we got started on this row. So here's 1, here's 2. Into that second chain, insert with a slip stitch, and that's it. Now we're going to get started on our following row, which is our ribbing row, so we're going to chain 2. Now all this is going to be is front and back post double crochets. So yarn over, and we're all going to start with a front post double crochet. So finding that first half double crochet from our previous row, making sure we're not working into that chain 2, we're going to bring our hook underneath the body of that stitch and through the other side. Then we're going to yarn over and pull through, and when we have these 3 loops on our hook, we're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That's our first front post double crochet. Now let's do a back post. So yarn over, bring our hook behind our work, so underneath, and then over the body of our next half double crochet, and then through the other side. Then pull through 2, pull through 2. Now we should all have 1 front post and 1 back post double crochet. Let's do another set together. Yarn over, into the body of that next half double, underneath, through the other side, pull through 2, pull through 2, and now to do a back post, yarn over, bring your hook underneath our work, over the body of that next half double, through the other side, pull through 2, pull through 2. And that's it. We're going to continue to repeat our front and back post double crochets, making our way all the way around. We are back. We have just finished up our front and back post double crochet row. We have slip stitched it into that second chain that we made when we got started on this row and did a chain up of 1 and cut. Now once we have this side completed, we're going to do the same thing we did here on the other side, and then when both of them are finished, the last thing we're going to have to do is our drawstring. So this is going to be pretty simple. All we're going to do is make a chain with whichever color yarn that you would like, and we just need to make a chain that's long enough to wrap around the widest part of our hips, plus I would say roughly an additional 5 to 7 inches, because we do need some slack so that we can tie it together. Now I have already made my chain. I have made a chain of 150. And now what we're going to do from here is just insert it into our waistband, and then we'll be all done. So weaving in our chain is going to be fairly simple. You guys can use your hook or a tapestry needle, whatever is easier for you. But all we're going to do is insert our hook or tapestry needle into any of the stitches that we have into our waistband where we want the drawstring to be. So you can insert your hook higher, in the middle, or lower. I want mine to be roughly in the middle. And then I'm just going to find our middle seam and just trace that up, because this is going to be the middle of our waistband. Now, like I said, I wanted mine within the middle, so I'm just going to insert my hook a few rows back into the stitch where I think is the middle, because I'm just going to eyeball it and just weave it all the way through until I reach the middle. Then from here, I'm just going to place my tail end over my hook and very gently pull it all the way through. And then from here, I'm just going to continue to pull it through, making sure to leave a tail end because we don't want this to be pulled all the way. And then we're just going to continue doing this, making our way all the way around. So just make sure that we're inserting our hook into the same stitch that we have all the way across, because we don't want our drawstring to end up being a little bit higher or a little bit lower. So I'm just going to eyeball it, work a few rows back, and insert my hook into the same stitch, and then pull it through again. I'll meet you guys back once we made our way all the way around. Alright, so we are back. We made our way all the way around with our drawstring, and we are actually all done. Last thing we're going to have to do is just weave in all of our ends. And there you have it. Hope y'all enjoyed the tutorial. Don't forget to check us out on Instagram, Pinterest, or Twitter. Those links are down below. And also don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Catch you on the next one. Bye!